Greetings. My name is Brian Morris, a member of Team Trilogy. Today we're going to do a disc plastic comparison with the Latitude 64 Pure. I have 4 different types of plastics. I'm going to try not to make it too long, but we have a retro burst version. We have the Zero Medium, which is a slightly grippier plastic. Still has good firmness. The Retro is kind of the baseline version. We have the Opto Pure double stamp I got from dynamicdiscs.com. Very nice feel in the premium plastic. And then a special guest here, we have the Tatar Opto X Glimmer Pure. So we're going to check out, see if there's some differences in stabilities. Before we get started though, the Pure comes in at a speed 3, glide 3, turn of a -1 with a fade of 1. So other previous videos, there wasn't much difference in a lot of the different plastics. I can tell you that there is some difference in these, so let's check it out. All right, here we have a look at the Retro Burst Pure. Remind me to wipe my disc off before I start showing them to you. And here you have the Zero Medium Pure, which has a little bit more grip, but has a moderate amount of firmness to it. And then we have the more premium plastic Opto Pure, and then the premium plastic, which is the Opto X Glimmer Pure, the Tatar Team Series. As always, we're going to start off with some Anhyzers here. The Pure is one of my favorite woods discs. It takes a moderate amount of arm speed to straighten it to get to that -1. The first two here are going to be the Retros. Now we're going to be going with the Zero Medium, which has a little bit more grip on it, which seems to make it more like you can get into it a little bit more, straighten that one a little bit more than those other two, but it's also the throw number 3 and throw number 4. Kind of looking at the baseline and the mid grades here, we're going to go over to hole number 2 at 256 feet. So throwing this, usually put a good amount of Anhyzer on it, and it starts to straighten and pretty much just drops straight down on the pin. Here they're continuing the Anhyzer a little bit, but they're close enough to the pin. The first two here are Retro, and the last two are the Zero Medium. All of the flights between these two are very similar. It's just a preference on which type of plastic you like. The Retro is obviously going to beat up faster, but the Zero Medium beats up pretty fast as well. Just has a better grip. Here we're going to throw Anhyzer with those same two types, starting off with the Retro. Just kind of a very short 200-foot forced Anhyzer shot. You'll see they just kind of glide out, and most of these were inside the circle. But the Pure is a very nice straight disc with the correct arm speed, and you can also play some really nice left to right shots with it as well. Taking a look at where the discs landed, again, all of them were inside 22 feet or so. Gonna take a couple of putts here. The Pure is, a straight disc, slightly understable. And here we are going to add in some others. So now we're going to get on it a little bit more here. This is a little bit harder throw, and you can see the natural -1 there when you're getting into it. We're throwing this probably somewhere around 290 feet, maybe 300 feet. And just really getting into it with a Anhyzer release, and you can see it stands up and even gets over a little bit. Up next are going to be the Opto Pure. So now that we're warmed up, we can throw an Opto Pure, and you can see getting into it, it does have that -1, but that fade of 1, you know, I feel like on the Opto Pures, there's just a little bit more fade on it as the disc slows down. And I'll show later the low arm speed, there's a lot more fade. This is the Christian Tatar, and I overcompensated on the Opto X glimmer. The Opto X glimmer, from my experience so far, flies exactly like the Opto. Here we are with some lower arm speed shots. You'll be able to see here that the zero medium straightens out a little bit easier, just throwing almost a straight line to the elevated basket that we're shooting at. And when throwing at a lower speed, the Opto and the Opto X glimmer have to play a little bit more of a hyzer, as they tend to fade with that lower arm speed. Don't know how these are going to break in. I know this plastic tends to last for a good amount of time. You can see I played a much wider hyzer with the Opto X glimmer. And here's a look at where all those discs landed. All right, give you a couple more demonstrations at a lower arm speed. This basket's probably 150 feet away, and you can see that the zero medium is a lot easier to straighten at that distance in comparison to the Opto and the Opto X, which I had to play it more of a hyzer on a very similar release. So there is a little bit of stability difference here, especially as the disc slows down. However, you saw when I was throwing the disc very hard, you can still get that same -1 turn out of it. So here we're going to throw some Anhyzers on the Opto and the Opto X. There's a slight left to right wind here, which is kind of like stalling the disc out a little bit, but you can also see in these force overs that that disc has the little bit of stability where it wants to try to fight out of the Anhyzer instead of just continuing to go right. Here's a quick look at where those landed. I also threw those other discs and cut them out. Here's another upshot look, just kind of rapid fire here. Final thoughts. If you really like the retro plastic, it flies just like the medium. The medium is tending to beat up just as fast as the retro. I really like these Optos as kind of like a more durable upshot woods disc. But there's definitely a stability difference between the Opto and Opto X. I feel like those two, the Opto X and Opto, are very similar. I don't think that there's more stability between the Opto X and the Opto. However, definitely a big difference between the zero medium and the retro. Well, that's it for this one. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one.